The United States has been the greatest force for good in the history of the world.
That's right.
Whether we rebuilt Europe after World War II, whether we've kept the peace in all parts of the world, everything, we should stand tall and stand proud because we've done it. And so anybody who's trying to scramble with your head and make you feel either guilty or stupid, avoid those people like the plague. Just get rid of them. They're negative people. You don't want to have them around.
Welcome back to Gen Z Unplugged. Today we have an exciting episode for you all filmed in Scottsdale, Arizona at our College Women's Summit. We brought back the KT McFarland, who is one of America's leading foreign policy experts. She's going to be talking about current events, the state of the Middle East today, the Trump administration, and the significance of it all. Hope you enjoy.
Alrighty, we've got Miss KT McFarland, the former Deputy National Security Advisor, back here on Gen Z Unplugged. How are you doing?
Oh, I mean, this is such a great time to be in America because Donald Trump has just in the last couple of weeks, settled 7 conflicts. He's now on the cusp of getting just a historic, historic for 70 years we've been trying to figure this out. Historic peace between Israel and the Palestinians in Gaza. And he's also, the economy's great. He's succeeding in cleaning up the cities. He's succeeded in closing the border. He's succeeded in the tariff wars, where we're winning the tariff wars now. And so I think if you look at the future of where this country goes in the next 10 years, we're going to have peace, prosperity. We're doing nothing but succeeding. And so when I look at your generation, it's going to be terrific. I mean, you are going to have such a great run for the next generation.
Yeah, things are looking very up.
Really up.
Exciting.
Really exciting times. I want to get your thoughts on the peace deal between Hamas and Israel specifically. It is historic.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely incredible to see. And of course, we don't see very many people on the left celebrating this.
They don't know what to say.
They don't know what to say. Yeah, exactly. I want to get your thoughts on this. Obviously, you have a lot of experience in the foreign policy, international relations realm, and what it means to have national security and to be America first. We were just talking about this before we went live and started recording. But what are your thoughts? I mean, what were your initial thoughts on this 20-point deal that President Trump really wrote out between Hamas and Israel?
It's so brilliant. So the way it started was at the first week of the first term, we all sat around the White House Situation Room, which is really like a big dining room table. And that's when a new administration, in the first couple of weeks, a new administration comes in and assesses, okay, so what should our policy be towards China or towards trade or towards Russia? So we were going through that assessment. And the question was, how are we going to address the generational change of leadership in the Middle East? Because all the big Arab countries, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, et cetera, they all were being run by 80-year-old guys. But they were at the generational change of maybe the 30-year-olds would take. There was going to be nobody in their 50s and 60s. It was going to go from age 80 to age 30. And so we went around the table and I said, well, we've always done business with the old guys. They've been with us on a lot of the energy policy, but they support Islamic extremism and they're kind of terrorist tolerant. But we know who they are. And so Jared Kushner said, well, I think we should look at the next generation, the 30-year-old guys. And I said, well, they're way too young. They're 30. What do they know? And he said, yes, but the populations of those countries are that age because they've all had this big baby boom. So 75% of the people in Saudi Arabia and all these countries are under 35. So for them, that new generation of leaders wasn't that young. So Jared said, let's trust these guys. They've all been Western educated. They want to diversify their economies. They want to move away from Islamic extremism. They want to be known as something other than oil exporting countries. And so let's take a chance on them. And President Trump, God bless him, he said, I'm willing to take that chance. And so because President Trump was supporting those younger leaders, they then were able to assume the positions of power very early on. And so President Trump went to the Middle East, met with them when they were still trying to establish themselves. And that relationship that he built with them, where they knew that a lot of their positions were due to Donald Trump giving them the nod early on, he really formed close friendships, almost like a father-son relationship with many of them. And so then President Trump was able to forge the Abraham Accords in his first term, and that was peace between Israel and these same young leaders. Mm-hmm. And then in the second term, he again went back to the Middle East, went to the Arab countries as his first foreign trip, and he was hailed literally as a godfather kind of figure. And so then he realized, okay, we've made the first step now. The first step was going to be peace between Israel and the rich Gulf Arabs. The next step would be to just emasculate Iran, and Israel did that with decapitating Hamas and Hezbollah and the proxy groups. The United States did it by destroying Iran's nuclear weapons program and pushing Iran into real dire economic straits by enforcing the sanctions. So all the supporters of the bad guys in the Middle East were gone. And so then 3 weeks ago, when Donald Trump was at the United Nations, everybody focused on, the teleprompter didn't work, or they made the escalator stop. Yeah, I know that. But what happened in the sidelines was President Trump met with all of the Muslim leaders, all of the people that he had known for all these years, and he met with them and said, here's my 20-point plan. I think we can do this. Will you all sign on? And they all signed on. Nobody thought they would all sign on, but they all signed on, which meant essentially they were going to abandon Hamas.
Yeah.
And then the next part of it was, as you look at what those 20 points are, it then says, okay, so the day after the fighting stops, the hostages are returned, Israel is going to withdraw, then what happens? And it's those same countries, those same leaders that he had supported 8 years before who said, we will provide the security, we will rebuild Gaza. So there was a second wedge that was driven between the suffering Palestinian people and Hamas. So he was able to isolate Hamas as just these really bad guys that nobody wanted to support financially, that were using and abusing their own people. And by doing that, I think President Trump has done something nobody thought was possible. He has brought, it's going to be hard. There's going to be many steps to happen. But I think that the force of his personality, the wise decisions he made early on in his term, and now the momentum that's built, I think he's going to get there. And this is just, talk about a peacemaker. This has been a problem that no global leader has been able to solve. No leader in those countries for 70 years. And he's done it.
That's right.
Awesome.
That's so true. What do you see as the future post, this plan that they just all signed? Do you think they're gonna, just the future of how the United States and this peace treaty is gonna go? Do you think it'll be hold well?
I think it will, and here's why. Because Hamas needs money, right? You need money if you're gonna continue to fight. Yeah. And nobody's gonna give them any money. And the part of the deal is that they lay down their arms and they will get amnesty, but they agree not to participate, or they will be banned from participating in the next government that happens after the peace. And at the same time, by promising the Palestinian people, 97% of Gaza is rubble. It all has to be rebuilt. And if you're telling the Palestinians, well, forget Hamas over there, they're not going to be pushing you around anymore. We want you to help rebuild this. You're going to be jobs for you, construction jobs. You're going to educate your kids. You're going to have a very different future than the one that you thought you would have just a month ago. So I do think it gets there. But then there's going to be a knock-on effect. And that's that here's President Trump who's done something nobody thought was possible. Now the stature he's going to have in dealing with other countries. So how is this going to help him, stand up to Putin over Ukraine? How is it going to help him with the trade wars with China? Donald Trump is the most powerful guy in the world right now by a long shot. I think it will then only lead to more and more and more success for the United States.
I want to get your thoughts on really just a domestic national threat that we're seeing right now. Of course, you have the insane left-wing violence across the country. I'm so grateful for President Trump holding the Antifa roundtable that he held this week with probably 10, 15 solid journalists. All of them were conservative journalists or more nonpartisan, but have been attacked by Antifa rioters, terrorists, as this administration has now deemed it, as it rightfully so. It is a domestic terrorist organization. who have one goal in mind, to destroy property, to kill. And it's very heartbreaking. I mean, of course, on the wake of just a month ago today, Charlie Kirk, truly the leader of this youth movement that we're seeing in America, being assassinated. Benny Johnson, someone tried to take his life, is threatening him right now. And I know the DOJ is going after that. But I want to get your thoughts on just how this administration is truly making America safe again, like no other administration, but also how we as everyday citizens who aren't going to have, Secret Service or aren't going to be able to hire bodyguards, but how we can keep our heads on a swivel at all times to catch ourselves, as conservatives, especially young conservatives on college campuses, they have a target on their back right now. How do you, I guess, go about that, but also just your reaction to President Trump and this administration handling the crime and how for decades, I mean, we've been very soft on crime.
Not only soft on crime, and we've been soft on like drug crime, right? Or gang, cartel crime. We haven't, the Biden administration just let it happen. They opened the border, more of them came in. So it's that part of the crime. And I think by closing the borders, by sending National Guard into our unsafe cities and cleaning up neighborhoods, that's great. That's going to make a huge difference in the day-to-day lives of an awful lot of people. But there's a second kind of violence. And that's the sort of implicit violence you're talking about on college campuses. It's the Antifa thing. It's the hounding conservatives and going after conservatives. The first group is just crooks and criminals and gangbangers. The other one is political. And so I think that it's so important for President Trump to say, let's follow the money. Where are they getting their funding? How is it that the same demonstrators go from Colombia to Los Angeles? How do they all have the same posters? What's going on here? And I think once you follow the money and you realize that it probably is coming from several different places of donors, shall we call them, who know exactly what they're doing. I mean, it's not that they love the Palestinians, it's they want to create foment confusion and violence in the United States so that we're at each other's throats. And then there's kind of a third kind, and that is our foreign adversaries, whether it's China, Russia, Iran. They want to stir us up. So you've got the crooks and the criminals. He's dealing with that pretty effectively. You've got the second, which is the threat to young people and the sort of political threat. And that's follow the money. You'll find out where it is all coming from. And then the third is that the adversaries who are making hay out of this, they're making this use of this and trying to get us to be at each other's throats. So then they go, Russia, China, they go to the world and say, look, America can't govern itself. Look, they're all in their cities are uprising. It's just horrible. We're the model of the future. We, the totalitarian countries, we have strong leaders. We know how to govern. So I think that the third, almost the most difficult one, is that third one, because that's where they try to scramble with your brain. I mean, if you've got TikTok, right? You're looking at TikTok and you're thinking, oh, cat videos, or how do I do my hair? But it's a spy apparatus for the Chinese Communist Party, because they're tracking you wherever you're going online. And then once they get that information about you, then they want to scramble your brain. And then they start changing your feed. So your feed is things like self-loathing. It's, I hate the other guy. What they're trying to do is make democracy fail from within.
That's right. Wow. Yeah. I'm interested also to hear your thoughts on, I mean, obviously you've been in like a front row seat in so many different issues and administrations, and you've seen this all play out. Do you think from your perspective, we are repeating anything from past decades? Are you seeing patterns, or are we in a completely new age? You mentioned TikTok and this whole new digital age, which hasn't really happened before. So from a future perspective, do you think we're in like this new realm, or do you see any patterns, that have been
That's
repeated?
a great question. I mean, to me, I see the same patterns as the Reagan administration fixed when we won the Cold War and we fixed a sluggish economy. So Reagan came in and he cut taxes, cut regulations. We had a wild economic growth, which lasted for 40 years. And he won the Cold War. And he also made us believe in ourselves again. I mean, restored America's confidence in itself. I'm seeing the same thing happening today with President Trump. He's fixing the economy. He's going after our adversaries. And he's making us, making America great, but making America proud again. Yeah. So I think that remains the same. Now, the complication is, and who knows where it all goes. It's artificial intelligence, quantum computing, the social media, What is the effect on young people? As a 14-year-old girl, is she, spending so much time on social media that she hates herself? That's the more pernicious thing, and it's difficult to sort of cope with. I think that we will get there. My guess is that with things like social media for really young kids, we're going to find out that, we really want to I'm a big First Amendment person, but maybe we don't really want to have 10-year-old girls dealing with all of that, the pressure that they're getting on social media.
And we're going to see those statistics from those kids that are growing up. The numbers are going to start coming out on just how they view themselves, how they view their country. Yeah. And I agree with you. We're in kind of new for our generation, but similar to the Reagan administration, where, Gen Z is proud to be American. Yeah. And it's really cool to see that revival too.
Yeah, very exciting. I want to shift a little bit, going to young girls and the younger generation. I know a lot of young women look up to you and they want to get involved in the foreign policy space. They want to get involved in an administration, whether that's the Trump administration or an administration going forward. They're in, college, they're studying international relations. Yeah. What is your best advice to young girls who want to enter into the more international relations, foreign policy, national security space?
Yeah, maybe this is old talk. But I really think that the work-life balance is a little overdone for your age group. Just work. The balance you get to later. And whether I watch my own daughters or my granddaughters who are your age, work really hard now. Get your education. Get out there. If you care about politics, run for office. Volunteer on a campaign. Get really active. Don't just look at your feed. Just get in there and do stuff. And work really hard, because then you kind of get a leg up on everybody else. You can have your work-life balance in your 30s, but if you want to really make an impact, work hard now. And the other thing is, there's nothing that should be beneath you, in the sense of, I've got a degree from Princeton in English literature. Why should I be having to do these little, sweetie, guess what? Just go do it. Because from the perspective of a boss, you want somebody who has that can-do attitude. And I can do it. It's tough. And especially for young women. I'm in my middle 70s, I still do this. Women tend to, I'm not sure I could be good enough at that. And so we tend to sort of under-promise. We don't want to commit ourselves if we don't think we can do it. But then we totally over-deliver, right? We totally overcompensate. We do it better than anybody else. And yet, if you look at a lot of men, I can do that, no problem. They have no idea what they're doing. And so they kind of under-deliver. They overpromise, but they under-deliver. So for a woman at a young age, you get out there and overpromise too, but then over-deliver, because that's what you're capable of doing.
Yeah, I've heard, from friends and family even, like just the attitude, it's shifting now a little bit, I think. Yeah. The attitude that your 20s don't matter, and that, it's kind of the opposite. They're like, you can do all that in your 30s, but if you don't get started now,
you're behind.
You're not going to do it.
You're behind.
Yeah.
And when you get to your 30s, when you do want to have a family and you want to figure out, how do I do my career, my marriage, my family, you want to be ahead of it so that you can say, okay, maybe my career, I'm going to step back for a few years and either, take a slower track, not work 90 hours a week. You're able to do it because you've already jumped ahead and you've established yourself as someone who works hard and knows how to work hard.
What is something you wish that either young women knew or just Americans in general, if you could tell, something you wish people understood more from your experience, in all of these administrations and foreign policy and that sort of thing? What is something that is either misunderstood or just not thought about that you wish, people knew more?
I think that whether it was in the 70s or whether it's in the last, from Barack Obama on, that we've been sort of brainwashed to think there's something wrong with us. There's something, America's bad, or Americans are bad people, or we have wrong values. If you could just stand proud and look around at the world and say the United States has been the greatest force for good in the history of the world.
That's right.
Whether we rebuilt Europe after World War II, whether we've kept the peace in all parts of the world, everything, we should stand tall and stand proud because we've done it. And so anybody who's trying to scramble with your head and make you feel either guilty or stupid, avoid those people like the plague. Just get rid of them. They're negative people. You don't want to have them around. But understand that, in fact, we are the greatest country. And our system is the one that provides peace and prosperity for the most number of people. And if you look at the arc of history, what has American history been about? It's been about expanding rights for people, expanding opportunities. When I graduated from college, women you didn't get the same job a guy did. I mean, in my undergraduate degree, I majored in Chinese. And so some guy who was in my class and didn't work very hard, wasn't that smart, he was going to get the job as the analyst, and I could maybe get the job as his secretary, even though I'd worked harder than he had. Those days are gone, thank goodness. But understand that this progress that we've made, especially as women, take advantage of it and be proud of it. And don't let anybody trash talk America or you.
I appreciate you coming on the show today, and I appreciate your encouragement to young women and to both of us, even on the podcast. I know it's definitely received very well, and it's a hard, it is a mix of emotions right now, especially over the last few months. I mean, even just looking a week before Charlie Kirk was assassinated, you had the young Ukrainian story kind of breaking the headlines, and a lot of young girls were really worried about their own safety. I mean, I know so many young girls who live in Washington, D.C., who commute on the metro, and, they're taking more precautions because we have to keep our head on a swivel, especially in areas where you can't carry a firearm. Making sure that you're aware of your surroundings, because as conservatives, we are a target. We do have a target on our back, but grateful for what what this administration is doing to make America safe again. How can people find you? How can people support your work if they want to see more about what you're doing?
Okay, well, I'm on Twitter, realktmcfarland.com.
Okay.
Not on Instagram, but I want to actually take the moment and thank you for what you've done, because I know it's not easy to be a conservative woman on college campuses or new in the workforce. You're standing up for yourselves against an awful lot of people who are telling you you're stupid, not whatever they're saying about you, and it takes a lot of personal courage. And I really commend you for that. And just keep holding your heads up high, because you are making a difference. You're making a huge difference. And the whole country is going to come around to where you've already gotten to, because you've thought your way through. You've figured out the right track to take. I think the pendulum is swinging in your direction, but I do want to just thank you for having the guts and the courage to do what you've done.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it. I know it's going to be exciting.